Welcome back to another episode of Under the Influence. In the episode you're about to watch, I am joined by two very special guests. We get to hear from Jon, who is a prominent member of our Discord, the Christian Influence Discord, discord.gg/Christian Influence. Go join it there if you want to be part of the discussion. Jon goes by Stealthy Warlord on there, and he's been a part of the community for years and a prominent member in the sense that he has run some apologetics seminars there. He is a community moderator. And he's just helped to lead the ministry as a volunteer for a long time. And he flew out here to Oregon recently, and so we got to meet him in person. We had him on the podcast. He sat right where I'm sitting right now, and it was a load of fun. Also, returning guest, Mr. Mikeynoodles, also in town. So we had both of them on. So I got to sit here with both of them. We got to talk for a long time. The primary topic of our discussion is really, at the beginning, it's kind of getting to know Jon, right? And get to hear from him about his life and some things like that. Get to hear from Mike about some of the same things as well. But then the three of us tackled a discussion really about apologetics. We do that because Jon is a leader on campus for an apologetics program. And a reason that he is a leader in that is because he's passionate about apologetics and making Christians aware of the fact that they should care more about it, and giving them kind of some entry points into it to make it less scary. So we get to talk to him about why he's passionate about apologetics, why should more Christians be more passionate about apologetics, and I kind of serve the role on the panel of more someone just learning, someone that, and I'll be honest, is not super passionate about apologetics, but I do think it's important. I get to ask a lot of questions. So we hope you enjoyed this episode. It's one awesome returning guest and a new guest that was just such a joy to have in the studio. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Stick around. It's a longer one, but it's a great discussion. And he also gives some awesome recommendations. So if you stick to the end, he gives some awesome recommendations for not only, like, has he laid out a reason why you should care about apologetics and then get involved in that discussion, but then exactly how to do that, right? Some great entry points for you, and then where to go from there. So I hope you stick around, listen to the whole thing. It's an awesome discussion, and I'm really proud of it. So thank you for joining us for another episode. Take it away. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Under the Influence, Christian Influence's premium primary podcast. I'm here joined with two of my brothers in Christ. You know him, you love him, Mr. Mikeynoodles, here on my right, your left. And I'm getting a phone call from my father that I'm sending to voicemail.
That happened last time I was on the show.
Yeah, my dad loves
right.
to call when you're on the show.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Maybe I should have answered it. What if he's dying? That's what I said last time, too.
Bring the phone up to the microphone.
I'll do it again. But I got to introduce Mr. Stealthy Warlord from the Discord is what he's known by. Yep. But his name is Jon. Welcome, Jon.
Hello, Jon.
You got to clap for yourself. Come on. Yeah. So Mike and Jon are both in town to visit with some of us here at Christian Influence to get to explore the area, experience it for the first time. Multiply School is going on. You've heard us talk a little bit about that in the past, and Mike is helping with some of the facilitation of things at Multiply School. Mm-hmm. So that's a big reason why he's here. But while they're both here, we thought, hey, let's get together and record a podcast episode. And so we're doing that. That's what we're doing.
As Jon told me, what's three white guys without a podcast?
Or wait, what's a podcast without three white guys?
Yeah.
Okay. There's plenty of groups of three white guys that don't have podcasts.
Well, when three white guys assemble, they have to do a podcast.
Assemble. When we assemble, the mics appear before us. Yeah. It was weird.
Yeah, they just materialize out of the air.
Yeah, because everybody wants to know what we have to say.
Of course. Who doesn't want to know what Jerry has to say or what I have to say?
Yeah. So that's true. That was strange. When I got here and I walked up to you guys, and as soon as we got within about 5 feet of each other, those microphones just popped up out of the ground. That was cosmic.
It was pretty fun.
It was incredible.
You could say it's a new proof for God,
Ooh, wow, what a transition. Dude, you are a professional. You should be here more often. You should take my spot. I'm kind of done with it anyway. Just kidding. That was a joke.
Spoiler.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I actually really enjoy this. yeah, we're here. I mean, I think it'd be cool to talk a little bit about like who you guys are. I mean, Mike's been on quite a bit, so they've heard a lot about you. Yeah. But it'd be cool for the people listening. If there's someone that's not in the Discord, which you should go join our Discord, discord.gg/Christian Influence. That's really the base of operations for the ministry. But if people listening or watching are members of the Discord, they probably know who you are.
Yeah.
You've served as a community moderator for a long time. You've led some apologetic seminars and some. Did you lead a book club? That's Canaan.
No, yeah, that's
Canaan. But you've been around, like a key member of the community for a long time. But if they don't know any of those things that I just said, why don't you tell them about those things that I just said?
Yeah, so I'm so I've been a mod for Christian Influence for the past 3 years.
I think so.
3.5 years. Yeah, I think so, because it was in the fall. So yeah, it's been.
What brought you to Christian Influence?
I went to Christian Influence because I was landscaping at the time, and
a lot of people find us that way. Yeah, landscaping.
Apparently. Yeah, we have a grass channel and everything.
We do have a touch grass channel.
We do?
What's outside? It's an outdoor.
Oh yeah,
channel.
yeah, like outdoors hobby. Yeah, that's true.
When summer comes, I'll start posting just manicured lawns. Just to show everyone. But no, so I was landscaping at the time, and I was like, man, I want something to listen to.
Sure.
And so I was really wanted to get into D&D because I always thought it was super interesting. And so I was like, there's got to be a Christian D&D podcast. There's got to be. And lo and behold, there was like 2. And yours was the first one that popped up. Okay, good. And so I started listening to that, and you had mentioned about how, oh, if you want to learn more, join the Discord. And I've been on Discord forever. So I joined the Discord and started hanging out with Mikey in Minecraft for a while. And
yeah, wow, that's right.
Yeah.
Like on the server?
Yeah.
Or was it one of the Minecraft events or something?
No, it was on the server.
It was on the server.
Yeah, because you had a Minecraft server, so I joined that. And it was like me and Mikey.
Yeah,
by
that's
ourselves.
right.
And we started chatting. And then when people would be violating rules, I kept DMing Mikey Noodles about it.
Rules in the Discord or in the Minecraft?
The Discord.
Okay.
And so then eventually he was like, hey, have you considered being a mod?
That's what Jerry did to me.
And look at you now.
Famous.
It's taken over your life. You're making the big bucks.
I know, right?
And so started doing that, and I started getting more active. I sort of lurked in the Discord for a long time. And by a long time, I mean like a month.
Yeah.
And then
I mean in internet time, that is a long time.
It is. Ages, decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and at the time, we had some members who weren't Christians who were very verbally intelligent, and so it was causing some issues within the community. And so I was like, hey, I like arguing about philosophy. Here we go. And so sort of started talking to those people and sort of like confronting them a little bit more and trying to push back and show other members that, hey, they're not these big bad guys you think they are. They're not the second coming of Satan himself. Which, okay, we can calm down a little bit. And so started doing that, and did that for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's called Apologetics.
Yeah.
And you've been interested in apologetics for quite a while.
Yeah, for the past 4 years.
Okay.
I only learned about it as my freshman year in college. I was going to college for engineering, and through definitely God-guided circumstances, because there was too many random things connecting together for it to work, I met up with a student who invited me to a club called Ratio Christi, which is an apologetics org that sort of on different campuses around America. They're very big in the South because it was started in Texas. And we're one of 4 chapters in New England. And so started going to that, started talking to the leaders there. And it immediately clicked for me because previously I'd been into philosophy and politics. And, when you're into philosophy and stuff, like that's kind of what apologetics ends up being. You're discussing ideas, you're arguing about them, and trying to figure out, hey, what's true and what's not, which is, I think, really important. And so that's what got me into apologetics. And then what sort of really took off was the school decided my second semester that I was apparently the president of the org.
Whoa. Wait, the
Ratio Christie?
Yeah.
the multi-campus org or the
No,
or
just
the portion
just the
chapter.
president.
So I wasn't a chapter leader. So for the school, for the university,
Yeah.
you technically have like a student government within
Okay.
each org.
Got
so
it.
those basically the people that the school holds are responsible for making sure things are done
Makes
on board.
sense.
And
Okay.
for some reason, I was on there. I got an email and like, so president of Ratio Christie, and then blah blah blah. You are a leader of this org. You have to complete these trainings. And I was like, okay, well, I might as well go all in. So I spent
So strange.
I spent that same summer actually that I joined Ratio Christie, just like while I was at work, just 40 hours straight listening to stuff, learning apologetics, learning how to discuss things, learning theology.
Okay.
And
Neat.
so went head deep, and now I've been leading it for 3 years now, and it's
Okay.
been awesome.
I didn't know you were the president of it.
Yeah.
There.
I
That's
didn't
super cool.
either. Yeah.
Yep.
So you've used that to run some apologetic stuff on a Discord, which has been pretty cool. We've had a couple of people join, and I think, like, can you talk about what you did there? What that program was like?
Yeah. So the way it worked is I think it was once a week.
Yeah,
The
I think so too.
First time. And the idea was we had a class, so I would create slides, and then we'd have roughly. The idea was it was supposed to be like 45 minutes or something. It always ended up being like an hour 30, just because people are discussing and it just never ended. But we'd have a topic in mind, like, hey, how do you talk to people?
Yeah.
Like that's so important, and we'd go through that and talk about like, hey, what's logic? Like everyone talks about, oh, this is logic and this is logical. Yeah, we give a little biography on the rapper.
This
Yeah.
is logic.
And sort of like talking through that and like, hey, how do you figure out a good idea versus a bad idea?
Right.
And sort of working through that, and we'd have different topics every week, and it was pretty awesome. And I'd go through slides, give almost like a mini lecture,
Yeah.
while also allowing people to sort of raise their hands, so to speak,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
ask
yeah.
questions.
Like a guided discussion,
Yeah.
kind of.
And I found those to be the best, because then
Yeah.
people tend to actually digest the information more deeply. And also, it's triggering all the parts of your brain that we're training for, right? Which is
Right.
like, hey, someone's talking to you, they're giving you ideas. You need to analyze those ideas and then be able to respond. And so
That's a good point.
I love those. Those are my favorite. My least favorite is always just the college professor, you sit in front of a couple people and it's just like, here's me talking for an hour and no response. Everyone's just staring at you. Like those are always the worst, because again, this is not a good application.
Right.
And I think it's missing out on the key points that you really need to learn, which is, again, how to talk to people.
Yeah. I've been learning a lot about facilitating classrooms lately, given that I've been teaching drama at that school. And so I've been going to different seminars about it and stuff. And then, and yeah, like there's a crazy amount of research that's gone into about like ways to effectively learn.
Yeah.
And some of it's a little fruity, but like, a little granola-y kind of, where it's like, take your shoes off and like sit down in the grass, and then we're gonna talk about math or whatever. But like, then there's the stuff that you're like, what? But the stuff that actually makes sense, like, break things up every 15 minutes or so and have them turn and talk. Like talk to their neighbor, because like, yeah, you're like storing that information into your long-term memory when you actually talk about it. So yes, but you said something really cool. Like by doing that, there's something unique about doing that in an apologetics, situation where the whole thing is like you're trying to encourage people, equip them to actually engage ideas, right? And so by doing that in that environment, you're forcing them to practice that skill, right? Engage. That's cool.
And that's why, like, whenever I do, because I've taught it both online and in person, is the first class I always do is, hey, what's logic? Because that's just so important. And hey, how do you understand logical fallacies? Mainly, not just so that way when they go out into the world and they're just talking to people, but also for me, where it's like, hey, if I say something that's not true, you should be able to spot it when I say it. Like, I don't want you to just go along with what I'm saying. So that's why something I always try to encourage is people to not just agree with me for the sake of agreeing with me, but actually like push back. If they're like, hey, I don't think this is true. Like, that's great. because that's literally you're doing what I want you to
Yeah,
do, which is
yeah.
like analyze ideas. So
How much of it do you think is people not being equipped on that versus people just not feeling brave enough? Well, maybe that's the same thing. It might be the same thing, but like, is a big part of it just giving people confidence in speaking for themselves, or is a lot of it just the head knowledge?
I think it's like 70-30.
Really?
70 on the talking and 30 on the knowledge.
Whoa.
So when I'm
Does that make sense?
because when you this is something I like talk about when we talk about analyzing debates. So I gave a class on this, which is like the number one fear always reported by almost like every survey that's released, or it's at least top 3,
Yeah.
is like public speaking, death, and then
lupus
something.
lipophobia.
Yeah, and something else.
Sorry. You know what lupus lipophobia is?
No, I don't. Oh, is that what that is?
Oh no, poor Levi. No, lupus lipophobia is the fear of running from wolves on a freshly waxed gymnasium floor wearing only socks.
I'm totally not surprised that you know that.
Why did someone?
We can move on. Go ahead.
That sounds like a fun drama class.
I feel like he's. Hey, that's an idea.
You're telling me you're trying to get your kids to play pretend.
Yeah, so I could be like, hey, for this improv game,
You're the
you have to
wolf.
pretend. You're the wolf.
you have lupus lipophobia.
No, I was going to say you have to pretend you have one of these phobias. That's genius. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail things there.
That's like. Have you guys seen the clip of? Oh, it's like some guy, some military guy in like Iraq or whatever, and he gets in like all 4 and chases these like Iraqi kids.
Is this an AI?
No. This is like legit footage
What?
from like the GWAT. Like it's some random like army guy. He's like walking. It's this group of like they look like they're like 7. Like these little
Poor
kids. Literally. And then it's just like he's walking towards them, right? And then he just gets on all 4 and just
Why?
Bear crawls after him.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, not really crawling, more like charging at them.
Yeah.
But anyways,
So
So yeah, the top 3 fears.
sounds fair. So really equipping people to be able to talk is, I think, so big. And then the great thing is when people start feeling like they're comfortable talking
Yeah.
to people that they disagree with on stuff, then giving them the head knowledge on it, then I've noticed, and I've noticed this is in my life as well, really boosts confidence. Because now when you're talking to someone like an unbeliever or a Muslim or whatever, you're not working from a position of like, oh, what if they ask me about this?
right.
Like, oh, what if they ask me about the Old Testament? Or what if about the New Testament? Like, what about the telephone game? And then when you equip people and you're like, hey, let's think about these ideas first, right? Like, I want you to come up with a solution. Like, yeah, I have a solution I can give you that I've thought of that I think works, but I want you to think of something.
Right.
And then once you feel comfortable being like, oh, I don't need to like shrink because I don't know what the answer is, then equipping them with the head knowledge is like, oh, not only am I not afraid of that conflict of, hey, you saying something and I have to think about it and say, hey, is it true or not? I can now say, oh, not only do I think it's wrong, but here's why. And you can now offer a response. And so that's why I think talking to people is like the huge thing.
Yeah. Especially nowadays.
Do
Like,
you?
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask. Do you have an answer for every question that people ask?
No, no.
Is
Believe
it
or
okay
not.
to not have an answer?
Oh, it's totally okay. The thing is, you need to, if you don't have sort of like the skills on dealing in that domain, it's pretty scary. Like, you know, if someone asks you a question like, hey, how do you deal about this verse in the Old Testament? Like, oh, God commands a genocide or something like that. Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have any idea on how to like even respond to that, like that's gonna be pretty. You're probably gonna be a little uncomfortable.
Men should not have long hair.
That isn't even Old Testament, bud.
We gotta bring out the shears.
Oh, if you ever decide to cut your hair, can you do it on the podcast?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, do you think you'll ever cut your hair?
No.
It's too beautiful. Sorry, go ahead.
It's true. It's too stunning.
It's too stunning. Yeah.
I couldn't have hair like that. Like it would be,
I'm not. I do think that your hair is incredible.
Thanks. Do you
Yeah.
see the gray in it? Does it come?
You
up
got
on
gray?
camera? Oh yeah.
Yeah, just take the Nazarite vow.
Nice. Yeah. There you go. No, I don't see the gray in it.
I have a
The dye worked.
I have a singular white hair
Really?
in my beard, and I don't know why. You can't. It's super hard to find. I just notice it because I'm always when I'm trimming my beard. It's like, of course, there's that one white hair.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Every now and then Perry will tell me that right here on like the side of my head, like I have one that grows faster than the others, and it just like grows straight out, and it's white. Just one hair.
You name that after one of the kids?
One of our kids?
Or like the kids at school. Or like one gray hair is named Perry. One gray hair is named
the different people that stress me out. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just kidding, Perry.
No, she doesn't stress me out. Go ahead.
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
We were talking about.
Oh, answer a question. Yeah, so
answer
like,
questions.
Yeah, so like there's been plenty of times where like we'll have a table up and we'll try to set up a question to try to get people to come up and just ask. Like we'll put like, hey, we're Christians, literally ask us anything.
Change my mind.
I want to get the change to mind banner and then throw that in it.
I think you guys have enough money to afford the license for that.
Is that?
I think they might sell banners. I'm
So-
sure T-Mo
They
does.
do.
I keep throwing us off.
Come on, man.
But like I've had people come up and ask the wild things you could have never have thought of where you're
Really?
like, how is this an idea?
Yeah.
Like I've heard like weird versions of pantheism combined with like you can't know the world, maybe the world doesn't. I've heard everything. And like, yeah, you know, it's a little uncomfortable, right? Because someone's asking you a question and it's like you want to be able to give an answer.
Mm-hmm.
But what I end up just falling back on is just like, okay, well, if I'm confident that what I believe is true, then the way I think about it is I view it as almost like a puzzle.
Yeah.
So it's like I already know the end, and it's not because I'm like a presuppositionalist and I'm just like, oh, I'm just assuming it's true for the sake of that. It's like, no, I know the evidence. I know.
Straw man presuppositionalist there.
Okay. I have used some precept arguments, even though I'm not a big.
Yeah. One of my mentors came to faith through presupposition.
Yeah.
They can work.
Jeff Durbin, a big presuppositionalist, right?
Yeah, he is. I think James White is as well.
Yeah. They're very similar.
Yeah, they're very similar.
They're both at the same church, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Shibs is saying yes out there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
you're not one of those greasy precepts, you said.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
not
that was what
one
you
of those
said.
weird reformed guys. No, I shouldn't tease too hard. But the way I view it, because I'm so confident, and so the way I think about it is, it's like, okay, I know that I'm so confident that what I believe is right. Okay, well, if that's true, then that means there's an answer, right? And
Yeah.
so I view it like a puzzle. And it's
Yeah,
like
that's smart.
I'm like working through their question in order to figure out, hey, what's the issue with the question? Because when someone asks you a question immediately, it's not like, or at least this doesn't usually happen to me. It's like I instantly pops into my brain like
Yeah.
the complete solution, right? I have to think about it. And, you know, that can be really hard when you're having a one-on-one conversation because it's not like I can just go home for an hour, think about it, come back and be like, okay, so I thought about it and here's the answer. But what I can do is I can just ask probing questions, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you think this, but what about this? Or why do you think that? And if you can start working through there, I view it like a puzzle. I'm like piecing all the parts together until I finally get to the solution I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And when you think about it that way, it then makes those conversations way less stressful.
Yeah.
Because instead of being like on the back foot, I just view it as like a fun challenge to think about. And this is something where I think sort of you have to deal with personalities, like different personalities. And, you know, we're talking about talents that God gives and stuff. Where like for me, that confrontation is fun. Like I enjoy that. Like I enjoy parsing out ideas and trying to figure out, hey, what's actually true? What's just your opinion?
Right.
And working through that. And so because of those talents, it works really good in this area. Because again, when someone asks me these questions, it's not like I'm scared about it.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm not nervous. I think this is something that's kind of key too. Some people sort of assume, oh, you must just full confidence, man. You never have any doubts. You're never nervous. It's like, yeah, I'm nervous, but it's hard to explain to someone who doesn't just get it.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I view it as a challenge.
Yeah, I like what you said about where you said if I believe this is completely true, which you do, and we've oriented our lives, and like that's there's nothing to be afraid of. Like you don't have to be afraid of not knowing the answer, and getting to the place where you're comfortable saying, you know what, I don't know. That's a great question. And then inviting that person into a relationship with you, like, well, why don't we go check this out together? Why don't we, are you going to be here? How about we meet next week and give me some time to, you know, and then, so I think like having the confidence to say, I don't know everything is a huge step. And then another huge step is also like understanding that we're not going to know all the answers by the time we die, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of mystery in the Christian faith, right? Paul talks about that all the time. Like the New Testament is kind of full of that stuff. And it's not that it's like we don't know and this just happens. Like we can explain the gospel and salvation and justification, all this stuff. But sometimes how all that stuff works, it is a mystery, you know? How does Jesus have two natures? That's a mystery.
Yeah.
Like we can know that, but fully wrapping our minds around it.
Yeah.
It's not something,
And like somehow being able to transmit that to someone that says like there is a mystery here and that doesn't make Christianity wrong. Like that's an important kind of conversational skill to develop.
Yeah, and I've done that with a couple of people where it's like, okay, they give me something. It's like, look, I have no idea. I've never heard of this in my life. Or it's like they said a verse and it's like, man, I don't even remember the context of that verse.
Yeah.
And so, but then it's like, hey, you know, give me time. I'll look at it. You look at it as well, and then we'll come back together and be like, hey,
that's great.
Here's what I think it is.
Yeah.
Or even just being able to work through it. Like something I like to do sometimes is if someone brings up a verse, you know, just bring out your Bible and just be like, hey, let's look at the context.
Yeah.
Here's what I think it is. And, you know, maybe your answer is not right. Like maybe you haven't done enough thinking about it. But being able to work through that is so good. And yeah, you don't have to. It's not like you have to know every single answer to every single question.
What?
Believe it or not. So there's something.
To that point, I was just going to interject that, like Mikey was saying, you know, some things are going to be a mystery, and we don't have to have the answer to everything. Think about the other side, though, too. They don't have answers to everything, and some things they will admit, well, that's a mystery.
Yeah, it's true. It's not just like if they use that as an attack against us. It's certainly not just us doing that. Yeah.
That's a great point.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and it's like something. Not quite a mentor, but someone who's a little older in Rashi Christie told me, it's like, hey, we don't need another $1 million apologist. We need $1 million $1 apologist. We need people that you don't need, like someone like me, right? So I'm spending hours every day digesting apologetics information, learning new arguments, learning what's.
John was reading a apologetics book this morning.
I was. I need to read more, but. But like you don't need to go that deep. You don't need to be spending hours every day. But if you can learn the fundamentals and just being able to give, as Paul tells us, you know, the answer, the hope found in you, like that is so much more powerful than just having another William Lane Craig. As great as William Lane Craig is, it's those. It's the everyday person going about their life and answering questions. That's just so good.
So you
That's
would encourage the everyday Christian to get into apologetics, to start reading a book. Like, what if people say, I just don't have the time for this, or no one ever asked me these questions, or like, do you think that there's value? You guys think that there's value in having some basics, or what?
I think so. Again, that's what.
And why?
Yeah. So, well, as we're told by Paul, as I mentioned earlier, you know, you have to give a defense for the hope found within you, or an answer. I think the other thing we have to remember is we have to think of the person in a holistic view. And what I mean by that is sometimes what I've heard from people, and this is usually from a more non-denominational background, which I have, is it's like, oh, you just need the relationship, you know, studying theology, like that doesn't really matter. And it's like, well, no, we're mind, body, and soul, and we're told to love God with all of those components. You're not just supposed to love God with just your heart. You're not supposed to just love God with your mind. You're not supposed to just love God with your body. It's all of those things.
Yeah.
And so I think every Christian should at least learn. And the thing is, like, and this is something I try to explain to people, the basics, like how to talk to people, how to parse out ideas. This is something that's a part of just maturity in general.
Right.
This is not something that just applies to apologetics. This is something you should be using every day of your life. It should be, if someone tells you something, you shouldn't just be the person who just believes everything you're told just for the sake of believing it. Like, you need to be able to critically think, like, hey, is what my pastor is saying is true? Is what my friend is telling me, is that true? Or is what they're saying, you know, not accurate? And so I've tried to explain that to some people, and sometimes it can be hard to get. But
Most Christians were told that too. That's consistent with Scripture, to not be blown around like by the wind, basically, right? And to test the spirits, right? So,
yeah, and I think sometimes we really underestimate how important it is to worship God with the mind and studying theology and studying apologetics, because as the Bible tells you, the heart is deceitful above all things.
Yeah.
And so we need to be really careful not to just rely on our heart, especially when you're going through crisis and struggles in your life like that. Like if it's just full blown heart and you have no background knowledge, this is kind of what happened actually. If you look at the new atheist movement. So before the new atheism, there's always been atheists. So the question is, what the heck happened with the new atheists that didn't happen previously?
Is that like Sargon of Akkad and stuff, or who's a new atheist?
So there was four. So they're originally called the four horsemen of new atheism, and that was Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris,
yeah.
And there's always the fourth one who I don't remember.
Oh, he has a name that's Tom Holland. No,
not the Spider-Man actor.
No. It's Dawkins, Sam Harris. What was the third one you said? Hitchens, and
the fourth one is always forgotten. And I honestly don't remember his name.
You remember Shibs?
No, but he wasn't real strong. I guess, in that they added him in so they could make the name the Four Horsemen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But just to throw in, there is one woman that would join them sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
She is actually now a Christian.
Yes.
Really?
That's awesome.
Oh, man. I can't remember her name.
Look up. I don't remember her name, but she was talking to. I just watched this video today. Talking to Richard Dawkins, and he was kind of grilling her about it, and man, she held her ground.
Wow.
Yeah, she was.
Awesome.
If I recall correctly, she was an ex-Muslim. She was.
Okay, I think I saw.
Yeah,
I saw the headlines.
She was a Muslim, deconverted from Islam, then became a pretty staunch atheist, and then she originally came out with it at some conference.
Whoa.
That's amazing.
Made a real public declaration.
Yeah, well, she was talking about it. I think. It was one of those ones where Jonathan Peugeot was on it with Peterson and a couple other guys. I can't remember, whatever.
Anyway,
it was this big thing.
Wow, that's cool.
So I think one of the big things that happened with that is before that, I think a lot of Christians got really lazy with their faith. They weren't really studying. They weren't really talking about theology. It was kind of dead. And then when new atheism came on, it just pierced a hole right through that. Especially after 9/11 and the what that caused. And so I think because of 9/11, because we were so weak, atheism came in and was oh, well, we have the intellectual high ground. Look how dumb these Christians are. And then they would just go to some random pastor and just make him look like an absolute goofball who didn't know what he was talking about.
That's sad.
It is sad.
Wait, how does 9/11 play into it?
Because that's when the religion causes all wars.
Okay.
Because 9/11 happens, the Muslims, some Muslims.
Because that's a big talking point.
Yeah.
Often. Yeah.
And so I think because of that, that's sort of what primed it for that.
Huh.
And so I think in order for us to get back, we need to hey, we got to get better at this.
Right.
As we, I think you guys have talked about this on the podcast before, equipping yourself with the armor of God and so on. It's hey, you can't just send people out with toothpicks,
right,
and expect them to fight a battle. You got to equip them with a sword. You got to equip them with armor. And I do think that apologetics serves a really key role in that, and even just theology in general,
right,
in terms of sanctifying the mind, becoming more knowledgeable about what you're talking about,
right.
Even if, again, you have other believers who are beneath you, who you're kind of discipling, you should probably study what you're talking about, because they're looking to you for guidance on, hey, how do I understand this?
That's a great point. Yeah. That weight of responsibility, the proper reaction to it should be taking seriously the weapons you're working with, right? I mean, to use the war kind of speak, if God's word is a sword, and we have others that we're in charge of leading as well, right? In this war situation, your ability to use that sword also plays a role in the defense of the people around you too, right? So specifically when you're their leader, right? If you're their leader, and you have the weight of leadership on you, and you're the front line, then your ability to use that weapon is not just going to protect your life. And so when we're talking about people's faith, you know, if I don't know the Bible and I don't care about it, and I'm not taking care with it, then I'm putting myself in a dangerous position to be persuaded, but also or to be fooled by the world system and by the devil. And so, I'm also putting the people next to me in danger, or the people behind me in danger of being fooled as well.
Yeah, and it's like, I was talking to Mikey about this. Like, when you're going to college and stuff, like, I've heard professors say the most insane things when it comes to the Bible and theology in general. And it's like, the only reason I knew what they were saying was false was because I had studied it and knew what they were saying was false. Like, if I didn't, and I heard a professor saying, oh, there's no evidence that Jesus existed. I mean, he's telling me there's no evidence.
And he's in a position of authority, too.
He's in a position of authority. He's the professor. He's studying this. Yeah. And so that's why I think, again, we got to equip people so when they're in these settings, not so that way they'll, like, go up to the front of the class and start debating the professor.
Actually.
Yeah.
God's not dead.
Please.
I
have trauma from.
Dude, when that movie came out, though, I do remember thinking, like, man, that's so cool. I don't know. I was younger. I don't know.
It was made just for Jerry.
Yeah. I mean, I remember thinking, this is really cheesy, but also this is so cool. What if, you know? But no. How old were you when that movie came out?
I don't remember. I remember the Newsboy song.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that Newsboy song. Sorry. It's crazy. You don't know what we're talking about, Shibs? You know what God's Not Dead is?
There's multiple of them. It's not even just one.
Yeah,
I think there's like 3.
I think
chalk
it's more.
I think I've heard of it, but I never watched it.
Really?
I think there's more than 3. It was almost like Jaws. It just, or not Jaws.
Wait.
Sharknado. They just kept making it more.
Well, God's Not Dead 1 is the least offensive.
Oh yeah, I think it gets worse.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the second one.
I don't even watch.
Offensive to your sensibilities as a drama teacher, or
No.
To your
Okay.
I think it's
Just
offensive
because
to
I'm
the human
teaching
soul.
drama. I'm not some snob. I'm a little bit of a snob. But the second one, I mean, it's like just cheesier from what I remember, but it still did some good things. Like, it got a lot of people talking, if nothing else. And I think it did inspire a lot of young Christians to be like, I can be outspoken, like at school, about my faith. You know, at least my friends and we all went and saw it as a class, like a school field trip, because we went to a Christian school, so it was a field trip. So maybe that's why I liked it, because we got out of school. But we went and saw it as a field trip, and then I remember, like, maybe in just like a teenagery sort of way, we were kind of like, it was like an anthem, you know, like, we can be outspoken about our faith. And so you heard the song and you were like, God isn't dead. Like,
So you charge the front lines with toothpicks?
yeah, here we go. You know, no, I mean, but yeah, since going back and watching it again in my 20s, I've been like, it's a little cheesy, a little bit, bit leaves a lot to be
There's
desired.
I think there's one. I forget the name. I don't think it might be Case for Christ, but there was one done on Lee Strobel.
Yeah, Case for Christ. That movie's
that one's
awesome.
actually good.
Yeah, that movie was great.
Have you seen C.S. Lewis's movie on C.S. Lewis's life?
Is it good?
Oh, it's really good.
Really? Is it pretty Christian?
It's called The Reluctant Convert.
Okay.
It's great.
Huh.
And it was on Amazon, so you can probably go check it out.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of. So there's a movie about Tolkien, though. Have you guys seen that one? That's not. I don't think it's made from a Christian perspective.
Oh.
But I didn't know that there was one on Lewis. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, it's based off. So I was watching the director who did it, and I guess they had a play. So it started out as like a play people would do, and him and a bunch.
Why
and
are
he
we
would
doing
act.
Beverly Hillbillies at school? We should be doing that. That's awesome.
And so the actual movie itself is it's like a weird mix.
Huh.
And it's really good, actually. I would recommend
It's on Amazon?
Yeah.
I'm writing it down right now. I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. What's it called? Reluctant Convert?
Yeah.
This is C.S. Lewis or Tolkien?
C.S. Lewis. Because that's what C.S. Lewis would call himself. He said,
Oh,
it might be a mere Christianity. He called himself like the most reluctant convert.
yeah.
Sounds familiar. Huh. That's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. Have you seen the Lee Strobel one, The Case for Christ? The
I
movie?
haven't seen any.
I
of
should
these.
watch that one.
Yeah. The case, I like that one because even when they're doing him in his atheist phase, even though he's like a little cartoonish
Yeah.
evil at some moments, it's not God Not Dead cartoonish.
No, he's not like,
He's not like, oh, I'm gonna destroy the Christians.
Yeah, you see some progression in his character over time, like become that way, and it's good. It's really good. It's emotional too, like because the whole thing. Are you familiar with Lee Strobel's story at all? Yeah. Right. So like the conflict is between him and his wife, and so that's just ripe for a movie adaptation, honestly, because like the whole thing is so rich. The idea that his wife becomes a believer and he's dealing with that, and I just think it's great.
And I thought they handled the conflict too, like very well.
They did.
Of being like, hey, you have one person who believe, one person who's like, oh, this is crazy. And the way they do it so well, because the conflict, like, for one, actually makes sense. Where it's like, for him, it's like, oh, this person's changing. Like, I married this person. They were like this now, and now they're changing like this. And, like, you get to see, like, sort of the anxiety. And so that's where it's, like, not so cartoonish, where it's just, like, edgy atheist Reddit user fanfic.
Well, because you feel for him.
Yeah.
To some extent. Because I've not often in my life thought about the perspective of the unbeliever with their warped ideas, which it can be all form of ideas of what being a Christian is. But like with their warped ideas of what it is, often, like, oh, it's this cult of believing in magic or whatever, right? All this crazy stuff. For them, like for him watching his wife become a Christian, they do a good job of, like you said, representing his perspective of being like, he's like, what? I'm like losing her, and because in some ways though, he is like from a based perspective, like he is losing her because she's God's first. He doesn't understand that though. So it is this real jealousy that you see, which is so cool. So yeah, it's fun. It was fun to see that from an unbeliever's perspective, because I've not thought about that. For us, we know it's based, but like for him, he doesn't.
It is.
Yeah, because it is. And then, man, the baptism scene is great. It's a good movie. Go watch it.
Yeah, it
you should watch
awesome.
it.
And he even calls up like a younger William Lane Craig.
Yeah.
Doesn't John Lennix like show up too?
I don't remember. I know that
It's like another one.
They got their moment in the spotlight in that movie though. Some apologists for sure, because he talks to him, and so they're in the movie, I think, or some. I think William Lane Craig's in the movie.
Yeah, he is, because he talks to a younger one. He like calls him up to ask him about the New Testament, I think.
Yeah, it's a cool movie. That movie made me go like, fine, okay, I will finally read the book, because I had read portions of it, like my youth pastor had me read growing up, but then I was like, all right, I'll read the book, and it's great.
He actually has another book out. He redid his book, Case for Christmas.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
So he did that. I learned about that because he was on the Sean Ryan podcast.
Whoa, that's big.
Which was sick, because that one got, I think, like 780,000 views.
Wow.
So it was
That's
awesome.
really cool. Huh. Yeah, go watch that movie if you haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. It's really cool. And it's cool to see, like, his wife is, to use the word again, so based, because she's like, no, I'm not divorcing you.
Yeah.
I already have made this commitment, and God may use this suffering and this hardship to be what brings you into relationship.
Well,
with him.
she really embodies what Paul talks about when they're asking him, oh, well, I like when the women are asking like, hey, I'm convert, my husband isn't though, should I divorce him? And when Paul says, just basically be faithful.
Yep.
And you get to see that in a very good way.
Yeah.
And it's very well done.
Yeah, it's good.
Watch it.
Watch it. It's not a cheesy Christian movie with bad acting. It's a good one.
No.
It's good. We Perry and I watched it. I think early in our marriage we were watching it, and like the first year we got married, and we were both tearing up by the end. So it was good.
That's great.
Yeah. And I'd never cried in front of her, so that was a big deal.
Yeah.
No, it's a good movie.
Just shed a single tear.
Yeah. I let one. It's like Clyde with a chance of meatballs. Like, get back in there, tear. Yeah. I have a question for you. I don't know. Were we talking about something that I'm going to be talking over now? I don't remember. I don't know what we were talking about.
I had a couple questions too, but
okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, I don't know if this matters as much, but I'm just curious if after post Charlie Kirk situation, can we talk PCK here? Post Charlie Kirk, because you mentioned like at one point having a table set up and stuff. Do you guys? How did that change at all after that? Or did you go into that with a different set of like priorities?
I think it's definitely, in terms of my mindset, I think it's made me like even more hardcore.
Nice. Okay.
New Hampshire is interesting because In case you don't know where I'm from New Hampshire. A very secular. I'm not worried. New Hampshire is a very base state. Let's go with that. In New Hampshire, it's very secular. So New Hampshire is like top 5.
I mean, it's
least church states.
Yeah, out here is the opposite. Super no.
I was going around Portland. I just saw so many churches everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, Portland does have a disproportionately large amount of churches in it.
Really?
Yeah, from what I've heard. Yeah, or maybe it's the opposite.
But are they?
I shouldn't say that.
Are they churches or are they churches?
Or are they churches with flags on the outside?
It's like the Civil War meme of like, what kind of church are you?
You keep talking, I'll find it. There is some interesting stat about the number of churches in Portland that I heard not that long ago. But
so yeah, in terms of that, I think it definitely motivated some people to like get more hardcore about it. I know it was really big for like the pro-life group on my campus. Like that really like doubled down on them, on their efforts to be like, no, we're going to be more outspokenly pro-life.
Right.
And so in that impact, I think it was positive. And I do think, and this is sort of just a general feeling talking to students there, is I do feel like Christianity is becoming cool again. People are getting a little bit more open to thinking about it and discussing God. Like it's pretty uncommon that I actually run into an atheist. Like they're at least agnostic, or at least claim to be, they're more atheistic leaning, but they're not super hardcore like the new atheists were, where it's like destroy all religion, it's all dumb, go cry to Sky Daddy or whatever. And so
how nice of them.
I've heard that Bible sales have like exploded since that, and
they did.
I hope they keep going that way, because I think there was a poll that came out that said that amongst Gen Z, those going to church are going even more to church. Like the actual sort of the commitment level of Christians is definitely seeming to grow. Yeah,
the attendance numbers, especially the 3 weeks right after that happened, just skyrocketed, and they've obviously kind of leveled out. But yeah, I saw I saw some data somewhere talking about how it is considerably, like they saw a considerable bump, right, in churches all over the U.S. and actually not just all over the U.S., all over the world. Yeah. The thing I was saying about Portland is the interesting thing about churches in Portland is that it is a high percentage of churches, but a high percentage of people that don't go to church. That's the sad thing about Portland. There's a lot of churches, so like you kind of do see churches, but it's a lot of empty churches. Yeah,
we need some Reconquista, as Redeemed Zoomer would say.
Some what?
He calls it
Reconquista.
Yeah. Reconquering.
Oh yeah. I'm sure there's also a bunch of bad churches in Portland.
Yeah.
But
they just need to be saved.
Yeah.
You gotta go to them. There's a church like that where I live in the town. There's like a community church that's all kinds of gay and all kinds of messed up.
Oh yeah, they're all over out here.
I've talked to some of the guys I live with, and I'm like, dude, we gotta just like missionary trip just to walk down the road to the community church. Actually, it's funny.
There's only one of those in your area?
In terms of like, so the gay churches just don't exist. They just die.
Dude, they're everywhere out here. Have you guys not seen them yet?
I've seen them around here.
I've seen them. There's a lot in Vermont. There's like tons of gay churches everywhere. Yeah. But where I'm at, like the people who are actually going to church are like mega conservative.
Yeah.
They're like all the way.
There's like, I think downtown, the town we're in.
The town.
Yeah. There's two of them just in downtown, like within a block of each other that have the flags out there, and their sign year round says, everyone's welcome, which, I mean, I always, dude, when you see the everyone's welcome thing, I'm like, yes, you're welcome to stop in. No one's saying like, get out.
Yeah.
Mm.
But they mean that differently, obviously.
Are we about to get a take from Mike?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I think, so there's a couple of things here that you guys have been talking about. I think the first thing is that when Jon was talking about how you're surprised at how many people are sort of atheist, maybe is kind of what, or even not atheist. Yeah, right. That's surprising. And I think what's always surprising to me is how many people like will come to church if you invite them, and like if you know them, right? Like there's a lot of people out there, especially these days, who like, and Jerry, you kind of mentioned this earlier, like what they think about Christianity is like something that they learned from Family Guy 15 years ago, and that's just stuck with them, and they just think that, there's some goofy thing, and they've never had anyone in their life who can sit down and like just share with them like that. We don't really believe that,
because there might have been people in their life, but those ones weren't doing it, or there weren't people in their life that would do it, or that are Christian, right?
they just don't know, right? Like if you're, and I think a lot of people, like after the Charlie Kirk assassination and after, like, people are really seeking and searching for something. Like, you know, people are like, the anxiety levels are off the charts, like all sorts of, everybody knows that, right? So I think that goes back to kind of the thing about apologetics earlier, is like being able to like answer a lot of these basic questions and then use the apologetics as a way to enter into a relationship with these people so that you can then like start discipling them. And like,
that's a good point.
A lot of times, like, I think we all have to sow some of those seeds and till some of those seeds, right? And like kind of know when to cut your losses and know when, like, okay, I did my job. I like corrected this crazy opinion that this person had about whatever, right?
Yeah.
But maybe God's not calling me into like shepherding this person for the next 15 years. Maybe he is, you know? And that's, I just think that's a really like thing that is surprising to me often is how like ready the soil is, you know, like it really feels like a time, you know, like to start reaping, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's something I've found really just through experience. So it's kind of anecdotal, but like years ago, Matt, you know, well, you know Matt, right? Yeah. Matt C from Discord stuff. I mean, his mom said something at church one time that I was like, man, that's so genius. She was saying like, she said that she stopped talking to people in public about, she just stopped talking to people in public. No. You know how like as a Christian, I'm sure we've all felt this way. You can be talking to somebody in public and then they're just talking about like, maybe they're a stranger, maybe they're not, but you don't know that they're a Christian, and so you just assume that they're not. And when you flip that in your head and just maybe not assume, maybe don't flip it, like assume everyone's a Christian, but like you just assume, like you instead don't assume that they're not a Christian and that they do not care that you go to church, and you just talk about it. So the way she said it was, she's like, yeah, I just talk to everybody now, honestly, the same way I would talk to the people I talk at church with. And what she meant by that is like, you know, she's at the grocery store, and it's so funny as Christians, we love to use the grocery store as an example.
I was just thinking that.
Don't we do that? She used it, and so that's why I'm using it. But like, she said, you know, when I'm at the grocery store, I don't, and the person across from me says like, hey, what'd you do this weekend? It'd be really simple to go, well, this person's not a Christian. So I'll just tell them like the things other than church that I did. And when she said that, I remember being like, dude, that's what I do every time.
That's really good.
And so she was saying, she's just like started, what?
Go ahead.
Oh, she's just saying she started being like, I'm not going to assume, I'm not going to do this negative work for this person by assuming that they don't want to even hear that I went to church. Maybe they're not a believer, but I'm not just going to assume that they're going to be like, ugh. And because I think the distinction here is sometimes we assume that they don't want to hear it and assume that they'll attack us. But even if we don't care that they'll attack us, we sometimes are like, well, it's more courteous to not bother them with the information that I'm a believer. Right. It's like, that is such broken thinking. So I loved hearing that from her, because she was saying the product of that was that now when she just told people like, I was just with my, you know, one of my friends, and we were praying about this thing that she's going through, and she's a friend from church, and she just talks the same way she would talk to people at church about it. Then what happened was what you said, way more people are more interested than you would assume, which is kind of like, duh, this is the work that the devil's doing, is making us assume that they don't want to hear it. But then the other thing was, she's like, I have way more brothers and sisters than I thought I had. So then I was like, man, that's genius. So I've been doing that. And that's the thing, like that's what's so cool about it, is like when you were saying, oh yeah, I meet way more Christians than I would expect to meet, or way more Christians than atheists, I think is what you said.
I meet way less atheists.
Way less atheists, yeah. It's that same thing happened for me when I started doing that. It's just like someone asks me at the coffee shop, this happened to me just the other day, they're like, hey, so where are you headed? And I just honestly said, oh, I'm going to go help out at this 21-day residential ministry training. And they're like, wow, that's so cool. So you're in ministry. Yeah, so I run an online gaming related ministry, and this is a gaming ministry training, and we're talking to people about how to use gaming to share the gospel. And they're like, whoa, that's so cool. Man, somebody at my church was just telling me about da-da-da. And then I'm like, oh, so the person I'm talking to is a believer. At the very least, they proclaim to be, right? But that informs now, because then that informs the rest of the conversation, because we know if I'm talking to a believer, that at least someone that's proclaimed to be a believer, that informs how I have that conversation with that person. And so instead of this awkward thing where you're talking to someone who is a believer and you're assuming they're not, so you're talking to them like they're not, which is awkward, or you're talking to someone that's not, but assuming that they do not care, it completely changes the game. So I don't know. It just reminded me of that, and I meant to say it earlier. And like you were saying, right, you're going to be meeting these people, and the harvest fields are ripe, right? And so if we're honest with people, let them do the negative work, right? Like let them be the one that's going to attack us. Let's not assume that they would, or even just assume that we're inconveniencing them. Because also, who cares? Like,
I know.
If they feel inconvenienced, sorry, I care about your soul, right?
It's like how much I wanted
we should
to
be gentle and kind. It says to use gentleness and kindness, but
yeah. No, I was just saying like that's such a good point about like feeling like you're inconveniencing people and stuff like that. Whereas like I remember like when I was kind of a punk kid, like I didn't care about like offending people. That was kind of the goal, and it's just like what? Like I don't know.
Remember when we were in Orlando and that's something I had been trying to practice. And then I said, man, you're just so much better at that kind of stuff than me. Remember that? And I realized like, I haven't been practicing this well. And it was this like just talking to people and being like, yes, I'm a Christian, like letting it be everything I do, especially being in ministry. I think it's different then too, because I was confronted with the opportunity to do that more. Because like a lot of that comes from people asking like, oh, what are you doing today?
What are you doing?
Like, what are you doing? So like if I worked still for my dad's kettle corn company, they'd have to ask me like, what'd you do on Sunday? Right. But like now, what are you doing today? Oh, I'm on my way to go record this podcast for this Christian podcast with some of my friends. Or, oh, I'm on my way to, I'm about to go run youth group or whatever it may be. So.
Yeah. And, oh no. Oh no!
There it goes.
There's always
that's what the thought went. What I was gonna say was when you're talking about like saying that you're a Christian, what it does is it kind of does two things. One of the big things it does is it stops the quote of cultish feeling of it because you're like normalizing it. Right? You're making it feel like, hey, I'm just like a normal person going through life.
Right.
And like, I'm a normal person going through life. And yeah, also I'm a believer. And this is, and talking about like going to church and stuff. And I think that's so important because as you were saying, like a lot of the misunderstandings, a lot of those come out because they've never met a Christian in their life.
Yeah.
Or at least no one who's openly proclaimed they're a Christian.
Which allows the Christians to become these boogeymen kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And so when it becomes just like, oh, these are just normal people.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And the other thing was like, I can't count how many times I've had people like we'll set up a table, someone will come up and they'll ask a question. And, maybe they're like, oh, I'm going to dunk on this Christian for fun or they're going to be a punk or whatever. But when they ask a question and then I'm able to like give a response to it that's thoughtful and like, hey, here's some ideas that have been proposed. Like, yeah, that's an interesting question. Here's my thoughts on it. Hey, here's another guy's thought on it though. Like when you do that, there's so many people I've had who've been like, oh, I've never had a Christian act like that. Like I've never
care.
I didn't know there was like people who thought about their faith. And in one end, that's like super depressing, where it's like, oh my goodness, you've never run into a Christian who you thought through their faith and talked about it. But on the other hand, it's like kind of hopeful because it's like, oh well, now this person has met someone like that, and so now when they're talking to atheists and their own friends, they can be like, oh well, that's not true. Like I've talked to friends of mine who are more agnostic or atheist leaning, and they've like, oh yeah, I was able to correct my friend because they were saying this, and I was like, oh, that's not really accurate. Actually, you saw this when Wes Huff was on the Flagrant podcast. Yeah. You probably shouldn't watch it unless you're mature. But
that podcast as a whole, you mean that episode?
That podcast as a whole.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of comedians.
I watched that episode though. It was great.
It was great. And the interesting thing is the guy he had like the really bad haircut. I can't remember his name.
I don't remember any of their haircuts.
You'll know if
the main guy,
if
the tall, skinny guy.
Yeah, he had a mustache.
Yeah, the main guy.
Yeah, the main guy. He's
the one like he's got
Please don't sue us.
Well, we're literally not using his name. Sue us because we don't like you enough to know your name.
Actually, I think that would just make us very popular, wouldn't it? When we have like the Shane Gillis effect, we just blow up.
Is that how he got famous?
Kind of.
Oh, all right.
But anyways, on it, I think it was Cenk Uygur was
Okay.
on his podcast later on, and he was saying like, "Oh, Constantine made up Christianity or some nonsense like that," and he was like, "Oh, actually, there's a scholar I was talking about, and I don't think that's true, actually."
Wow.
And so you saw that where it's like, yeah, sure, he's not
That's
a
cool.
believer,
That is cool.
but like if he never let Wes Huff and talk about, like, he wouldn't have been able to
Yeah.
confront him on that.
Yeah.
And so
It's killing me right now that I can't remember that guy's name.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
I just remember him because again he had the super awful haircut for a really long time, and people kept mocking him for it.
Jarrett would know. Andrew. Andrew.
Andrew Schultz.
Andrew Schultz.
That sounds right.
Yeah, let's just go with that.
Yeah, that guy.
What if it's not?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that sounds right. Jarrett would know. Jarrett follows that comedian scene a whole lot better than I do, but he's not here. Shibs is on it. We got a producer for a reason. Come on, guys. Let's just keep rolling.
Come on, Jeremy, bring it up. Oh no, not what's
Jamie.
Jamie.
Yeah.
That's right.
Pull that up,
Famous.
Jamie.
Yeah, I like what you said about like kind of normalizing
It is Andrew Schultz.
being able to answer those questions and stuff like that. I think that's important, and I think that's something we can kind of practice daily. Like you kind of talked about. I love that story about treating strangers as if they were Christian, or treating strangers as if they're not going to bite your head off. Or
Yeah, I
anything.
think it's like whether they're Christian or not, treating them like you would talk to somebody, because you might run into a non-believer in church, but you're gonna talk to them because of the context in a certain way anyway, whether they're a believer or not, because we're at church. So she was saying, I just pretend like I would talk to them the way I would talk to anybody if I was in church, and it changed it.
Yeah, I really like that, and like I think I've talked before about different ways we can kind of implement that in our daily talking. Like, and you mentioned those kind of things like praying before your meal at a restaurant.
Yeah,
I think, did I tell you the last
Really
time I was
loud.
here what happened when that happened? We were in Portland. Yeah, we were in Portland. My fiance and I were married now, and we prayed before the meal like normal. And then there were two women next to us at this little table, and the one got up to use the restroom, and the other one, she leans over and she's like, "Wow, were you guys just praying?" And she was, I was like, yeah.
Don't you know we're in Portland?
She was like, "That's so encouraging to me. Like, I've never really seen that." And when I saw you guys getting ready, and I was like, "Is he gonna pray?" And my friend and I were looking at it, and man, I'm gonna go tell my husband, and I wish he would do that. And it was amazing.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was pretty
Praise God.
incredible.
Well done.
It was really, but it was just like in that, before that, it was like, I don't care what anybody here thinks.
Yeah.
You know, if they're going to do anything. And like, if you don't feel that way, like if you still do care, like that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, but as you grow in faith, as you learn more apologetics, as you get closer to the Lord and you abide more, right? Like you stop caring what people think about that kind of stuff. You know, you stop caring about praying in public or on an airplane or whatever.
Yeah. You stop caring what they think about you, but just care more about what they think about God.
Yeah. Well, and like, it's not like
in the right ways, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like and we see this on Christian Influence a lot of time. Not a lot, but like where people are sort of obnoxiously doing apologetics, or they're like trying to like, look at me, I'm a Christian, look at me. But you know what I mean? Like they think that like if they're being persecuted, then like they're following what Christ said, where it's like, no, maybe you're being persecuted because like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe you're being persecuted because you're going about this in the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know?
I forget if I'm stealing this from Pastor I've had, or I just came up with it. But it's like there's a difference between we're told you're going to be persecuted for your faith, but that doesn't mean you can't be persecuted because you suck. So like, don't try to be the type of person who's persecuted because they're being rude and obnoxious.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
exactly.
That's scriptural.
Because you're not actually embodying the faith. They're not persecuting because of your faith, because you're speaking the truth, and even with that, it's just where you can go about it.
It's like 1 Peter where it says, I'm going to find it, but where he says like, let us consider it pure joy, right, when we're persecuted. But then he's later saying, because let us not be persecuted for being murderers, thieves, like these bad things.
Yeah.
Like that's important. And I don't think we often talk about that because there's a distinction, right? He's saying, let's be persecuted, but let's be persecuted for the right things, right? As opposed to the wrong things.
You should be persecuted because people are seeing a glimpse of Jesus through you,
Right.
not because you're just being obnoxious.
Which is part of why you can take it as a good thing. Because you're like, oh yeah, they're seeing good in me.
Yeah. It's like, it's more important that I thank God for this food than like somebody sees me praying and might tell her husband or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's like, I don't. Yeah. So I think that's a pretty interesting place to like kind of move to, and Yeah, I want to encourage people who are listening, if they still are nervous about that, like there's some practical steps you can do, like building your faith,
That's a great point. Talking about practical steps, that like getting to a point where, so you're talking about, being more confident in talking about and defending the faith in public, right? And then, but if someone listening right now is like, yeah, that's great, but where do I start? And even before starting with like, and I want to ask this in a second, like what's a good place to start to get into apologetics? But even before any of that, you can start with some of that confidence and personality element that you talked about earlier, and that can start with things like this, like some really small, but well, obviously they're not small in effect, like that had a huge effect, but small in the sense that it's really entry level. All of us, you don't need there's no intellectual barriers to starting to pray for your food in public, right?
Exactly.
And so like that's a great practical first step that can still have just as significant of a reward, because that same woman that said that could have said that as a result of seeing Jon deliver this incredible argument for the defense of the faith, right? Somewhere she'd been like, man, I'm really encouraged, I'm gonna go tell my husband to be more outspoken about his faith. Or she had it in response to just seeing you pray for your food, right? And so it doesn't mean that we should shirk the responsibility of getting to growing and getting to the point where we are able and willing to engage in more thoughtful conversation with people. But yeah, that's a great. So I like that you said that. There's some practical steps.
Yeah, and it's a part of generally just what we call sanctification.
Yeah,
right. It's a part of the journey, and I think it's important that I say this. Like people shouldn't just look at me and be like, "This guy's got it all figured out. He's never not."
No one's looking at you thinking that, Jon.
True. There.
I'm just kidding.
Honestly, you shouldn't.
But you are the resident here at this table. You are the resident like apologetics guy. Like you do this way more than we do. You've got expertise. I was just talking to some people.
You're the president of Radio Christie.
Radio Christie.
Ratio.
I was just talking to somebody yesterday, like it can be uncomfortable, and we say this a lot as Christians, and I think it's a proper practice when done rightly, of being like, yes, I'm not an expert, I'm trying to humble ourselves, but it is okay to say that we have expertise in something, or at the very least experience, and you've got experience and expertise in apologetics, and so right now you're serving as an example of that.
Yeah, and I say that just to be like, again, I have my moments of uncomfortable. Like you're talking about, like, you should talk. Like I don't do that. Like I don't talk to every person like they're a Christian. That's definitely an area in my life where that could grow.
Me too.
And so,
I don't either. I'll just say, like, I'm the one that brought it up, and
it's an awesome. It's an awesome
It's a great
idea. I love
aspiration
that.
and goal. Yeah, and I don't do it well either.
Yeah, and so you got to think of these things as like small stepping stones. Like you don't need to go that deep. Again, you don't have to do what I'm doing, where I'm spending hours and hours every day, like really studying the material. It's like what you were saying, like you can just pray over your food every day.
Yeah.
And like by doing those small steps, you're going to improve over time.
Yeah.
As Paul says, you're running the race.
Yeah.
And Paul loves using athletic analogies. And it's like, it's like you're running.
Yeah.
And so you're moving. It's not like you start at the finish line. You don't start like one step back. It's like you're running it. It's a journey.
Yeah.
And trusting God in that process and just trying to faithfully do what he tells you to do will naturally result in that.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's a good place for us to wrap up, unless you had another question.
The only thing I wanted to kind of, I think that's an awesome point. And I just want to point out that, like, we need to be in the Word, like, first and foremost. And it all comes down to that. Like, apologetics, I think, is like an awesome tool that we all need to know. But we see sometimes a lot of people trying to do apologetics, not really knowing the basics sometimes first, and like that's where we should start.
Yeah, I heard who was it? Might have been David Wood or something. He said, oh no, it was Mike Jones from Inspiring Philosophy. He said, like apologetics should be your snack. It shouldn't be your meal.
Yeah, it's supplemental.
Oh,
it's
right?
supplementary.
Yeah,
that's great.
And so you need to be reading. And again, even with the reading, and you're like, oh well, where do I start? It's like just start somewhere. Even if it's just like a chapter, and actually even better, so I've started doing this, find someone else to hold you accountable to it.
Right.
So like me and my best friend, what we've been doing is we're doing a Bible in a Year program. We read it, and then we just write. We have, it gives like 4 chapters or whatever they read.
Sure.
And then it's like, hey, write one thing about one of them. And we just text that back and forth every day.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so finding stuff like that is really good. Like, or even Mercedes, when she she talked about how she'd gone through Acts and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's a when I was in Egypt as part of that that movement thing, that movement gathering. There's some resource, I don't remember what it's called now, but it's a Bible study resource that a lot of people in the movement use. And the end of it is like when you go through and you read this section of scripture and you answer these questions in this format, whatever. The last step of the format is now pray about someone to send what you learned to. So both for the accountability, but it's also like it makes you take an extra step of that Bible reading too, which I think is in theme with what we're talking about here, of being like, oh, I'm not just reading for me, I'm also reading to share this, because it has an ultimate goal, right? The ultimate goal is this, the commission that we all have, which is to go and to make disciples. So I thought that was really cool. It just reminded me that, one, for accountability, but also you can do that too, because you're helping either build up another believer or you're sharing it with someone that needs to hear it that isn't a believer. But
yeah, and I think another thing too to talk about is like, don't feel discouraged when reading the Bible and you're like, I don't understand what's going on.
oh yeah,
Like, we're reading texts written for societies and cultures that would be almost completely alien to us.
yeah,
And so just like how if you're reading a text from Babylonia from back in the day and you're like, dude, this doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, there's going to be complexities, there's going to be difficulties. And that's why it's so important for there to be more mature believers
Right.
who've wrestled with these things, who've, they've researched, they've learned.
yeah.
Like, that's one of the primary points of having a pastor, right? Like, why do you have a pastor? It's like, well, so I can ask questions to them so they can lead. And part of leading is being able to help you along that journey.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Well, I think as far as time goes, we should probably wrap it up. But I think for maybe someone that's listening going, you know what, I do feel a little compelled, because I was going to ask, why should believers care more about apologetics? But I think a lot of the discussion that you brought to this really answered that question. So for the person that feels like that question's been answered after listening to this, feels like I should care more, where do I start? Beyond just some of the practical things as a believer, we can start like praying in public and actually talking to people as if they're in a church, that sort of thing. If I'm going to go like, okay, so beyond that, I want to start with a resource, a supplemental resource to God's word. Where's a good place to start in your opinion?
First, I would ask your pastor, see if they know something. Like, does
That's great.
that's a big thing for me is like, ask them like, hey, is there something your church is doing? Like, do they hold like adult Sunday school or something like that where you can learn? Like, to me, that's the best, because again, you're learning it in person, you're talking to people and
it's pushing you into your local church, more involvement there. Man, you're a genius.
What can I say?
Love it.
But besides that, if you're like, hey, if you want to read something, first thing I tell everyone, you start out with this. You start out with Tactics by Koukl, because that just covers, hey, how do you have productive conversations? And that is, as soon as you can start to figure out that mystery, everything else opens up. Like, that's how you can start talking to people. So I would start with that. And then if you're like, hey, I want to get into apologetics, I would then go with, there's a lot of good resources. I got to narrow them down. Either Reasonable Faith by Wimble and Craig, which is like a little bit complicated, but I think it's still approachable to people who haven't done a lot of philosophical reading. Or you could look up I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist by Frank Turek. That's also a good resource. And then if you're like, I don't like reading, I like watching videos. If you want to, especially about New Testament stuff, look up the channel Testify. He's a small channel, but he has great stuff on New Testament reliability, answering contradictions. It's just top tier stuff. And then besides that, I would also look at Red Pen Logic. Yeah, he makes a lot of very approachable, very easy resources. Yeah, he's great. To learn. And so that's where I start out with. Some people are like, oh, I want to start out something, and then they want to go all the way. Yeah. They're like, give me the most scholarly work you can. Don't do that. You're gonna be upset because you're gonna be reading texts that are super complicated, and then when you're not understanding it, it's just gonna make you frustrated. Like, don't do that. Right. Start out with the basics. Because that's like 99% of people. Like, the stuff I'm learning is for like the 0.001% of atheists who are like going to bring up the most wild things you've never been asked.
You're training for Alex O'Connor.
I'm training for Alex O'Connor. Where you at, Alex O'Connor?
Yeah. Let's get him on the pod.
Have a formal debate.
Here, yeah.
But so I would start out with those. And hey, if you're in the Discord, which you should be, you should be in the Discord.
Discord.gg/Christian Influence.
There you go. You can always at me at Stealthy Warlord. We have an apologetics channel.
Yeah.
Throw your questions in there. I don't care if you think they're crazy, dumb, wild, just throw them in there. We've got a lot of people now.
Yeah.
It wasn't really when I first came. When I first came, it was barren.
The number of people in the Discord or that cared about apologetics?
No, who cared about apologetics.
Yeah, it was pretty, like
it was
you
pretty
and
barren.
one guy.
But now we've had quite a few people now.
Yeah.
And so throw questions in and you can get answers. You can see different Christian perspectives. Like maybe one person comes from this angle, another comes from this angle.
That's a good point.
So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Yeah, that guy, Red Pen Logic, he's part of a larger ministry too that is the same ministry. What's it called? J. Warner Wallace, right?
Yes.
Yeah, his ministry. I can't remember what it's called. Have you read his book, God's Crime Scene? I think it's over here. No? It used to be. No? Okay.
Should I add it to my reading list?
I don't know. I mean, I read it a long time ago, and I don't remember a lot of it. But his perspective is, I mean, I don't know if you know much about him, but yeah, his perspective is, or cold. You're right, Cold Case Christianity. That's his other.
Yes.
Oh, that's his podcast and stuff, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I think he might have a book called that too. But I have the
he
one
does.
called God's Crime Scene. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I have Cold Case Christianity. Whatever. But he came from, like, he was a cold case detective.
Yeah.
Right? That's his whole thing. And so that's why it's
really?
God's. Yeah, it's really cool. So like similar to Lee Strobel, was like, I'm going to go into it as like a journalist and a writer. That perspective. He's like, well, I'm going to look at the existence of God and specifically like the validity of Jesus Christ from the perspective of a cold case detective. And like using that perspective came to the realization that like, this is true, you know? So it's a really cool, when I was a sophomore, I went to a teen, like leadership conference thing, and the theme was apologetics, like making a case for your faith and having an answer, and he was the keynote speaker. Which is crazy given how big of a deal he is now, because there was like 20 of us teenagers in the room, you know, at this little camp. And so at the time I had no idea that this was a pretty significant guy. And I think I have a signed copy of his book because of that event, and it was cool at the time. I remember being like, this is really cool, but a lot of it went over my head, so I should probably reread the book. So I can't tell you if it's good or not, but I'm sure it is.
Actually, another one that just occurred to my mind in terms of like presentation, look up John Lennix.
Yeah.
John Lennix,
You guys are talking
the
about it
jolly Irishman.
Dude, he's the
is
best.
Great. He's just,
I was literally listening to him on the way here today.
oh, he's fantastic. Yeah, so I would say those are how you start out. And again, just ask people, see what people recommend.
Oh, that's good advice. Yeah, I love what he said about how he said like the atheist perspective, calling like when they straw man us and say that we believe in a God of the gaps. He's like, I don't believe in a God of the gaps. I believe in a God of the. Oh, he has a better word for it, but like a God of the whole thing. Yeah, like the whole cookie or whatever.
Well, he has.
I understand and the things I don't.
Yeah, here's another quote where it's like, I think it was Dawkins said, Christians are those who like are too afraid of the dark, and he said like atheists are too afraid of the light or something like that.
Oh, he's got a lot of good ones. Oh, I thought you were going to go a different direction with it, but yeah, that's a good one too.
He's got great.
Which is just to point to say he has a lot, but yeah, I think, is there anything else? Yeah, Dad?
Yeah, if you want to do apologetics, just find your closest non-believing friend and talk to them.
Yeah.
Figure out what their issues are and research them. And
then go.
You're already in a relationship. Yeah,
because you mentioned this earlier, and that's a good point. You brought this up earlier. Like the apologetics should serve the relationship, right? It's something that Matt said a lot. We were talking about before. You know, it's not about winning the argument; it's about winning the soul. And so, if the end result is, so like you could do a lot of that research too for that 0.01, but like I like what you said earlier about the 99. First and foremost, like are the things you're learning going to apply to actually building relationship with people and pushing them closer to God? And so, yeah, that's a good point. If you start with the person first anyway, and then let that dictate the direction, probably that's best too when you don't know what direction next. Like which thing should I study? That's a great point. Like study the things that people need answers for.
Yeah, and that's why I said start with tactics, because it's just it applies to everything. Again, it's about, hey, how do you actually have productive conversation? Everyone thinks, even people who talk a lot, like, oh, I know how to have productive.
Sure.
Almost certainly you don't. Like, there's so many things that you miss. Like, like you forget, like, oh, I should ask questions. Like, you just assume things, and he does a great job. He actually has, if you go on YouTube, you can look up tactics, and it's his video presentation has been posted on that as well. So
that's really cool. Well, great. Thank you guys. This was an awesome conversation. And I'm walking away feeling convicted. So that means it's a good one.
Me too.
These are always the best when I walk away being like, there's some clear action items now in my head off of that podcast episode. I go home and tell Perry, like, yeah, it does, regardless of how many people watch that one or walk away feeling convicted, I was. And so it was beneficial to me. So that's good. So thank you. This is a good conversation. We didn't get to some of the things that we thought we might, but those were kind of backups depending on how this conversation went anyway. And this is a blessing to me. So if listener out there, if this is a blessing to you, I pray that it was. We pray that it was. And like we said before, go jump into the Discord, discord.gg/Christian Influence. You can be more involved in what this ministry is doing, but more than anything, we want to use things like this podcast and our other things that we're doing at Christian Influence to inspire you to be a part of Christian community. And that end goal is that you are more actively engaged in a local church if you have the ability to do that. So we want you to do that. And a big reason we want you to do that is what this podcast is all about. We want to inspire you to gather together as Christian brothers and sisters. Do not forsake this. Like, don't think that you don't need this. Just talking together, right, as iron sharpens iron about God's word. A lot of what we're talking about, some of us maybe intellectually kind of know some of these things already, but when we talk about it, we come to a deeper understanding of it, right? And you need to do that too, right? We need to do that. You need to do that. So we hope that you've been blessed by our conversation, but we hope ultimately that you're inspired to go have your own conversations with your friends. So we love you very much.
Roll the outro.
Where'd he come from?